The dawn broke over Eldermere with a fiery splendor, casting hues of pink and gold across the harbor. The Sea Serpent, its sails furled and ready, awaited its captain and crew. Aiden stood at the edge of the pier, a silhouette against the morning light, his mind a whirl of plans and possibilities. The air was crisp, and the scent of salt lingered as the first of the crew arrived, hauling crates of supplies. Fergus, ever punctual, approached with a checklist in hand. "Everything's accounted for," he reported, his gruff voice tinged with satisfaction. "We'll be ready to sail within the hour." Aiden nodded. "Good. Let's not lose the wind." As the crew busied themselves, Aiden climbed aboard the Sea Serpent and made his way to the helm. The ship's deck gleamed, freshly scrubbed and polished, and the sails were pristine white against the rising sun. The crew's laughter and banter filled the air, a harmonious blend of camaraderie and excitement. Each member of the crew brought their unique skills and personalities to the voyage, and Aiden valued them all. Among them was Clara, the ship's navigator, the petite woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue. Clara was unmatched when it came to charting a course. Beside her was Samuel, the burly quartermaster whose booming voice kept order among the crew. Then there was Elias, the youngest of the crew, whose enthusiasm often made up for his inexperience. By mid-morning, the Sea Serpent was ready. Aiden took his place at the helm, his hand steady on the wheel. Fergus stood beside him, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Ready when you are, Captain," he said. Aiden took a deep breath, savoring the moment. The journey ahead was uncertain, but that was precisely what made it worth pursuing. "Hoist the sails," he commanded, his voice carrying across the deck. With practiced efficiency, the crew sprang into action. Ropes were pulled, sails unfurled, and the anchor was raised. The ship creaked and groaned as it came to life, responding to the wind's gentle tug. Slowly, the Sea Serpent glided out of the harbor, leaving the familiar shores of Eldermere behind. The first day at sea was calm, the waters smooth and the sky clear. Aiden's hands remained steady on the wheel as the ship sliced through the waves. Fergus kept a watchful eye on the crew, ensuring everyone remained focused. Clara studied the mysterious map, her brow furrowed in concentration. "This isn't like any map I've seen before," she remarked, tracing a finger along its convoluted lines. "It's almost as if it's designed to confuse." Aiden glanced over. "Do you think you can make sense of it?" Clara's eyes gleamed with determination. "I didn't sign on to give up at the first challenge. It'll take time, but I'll crack it." Her confidence was reassuring, but Aiden knew the journey would demand more than just skill. The map's cryptic nature hinted at dangers ahead, and he would need to rely on every member of his crew to overcome them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, the crew gathered on the deck for their evening meal. Samuel's booming laughter rang out as he regaled them with tales of his past exploits, while Elias listened with wide-eyed fascination. Fergus, ever the pragmatist, kept a watchful eye on the horizon, his hand never far from the hilt of his sword. Aiden sat apart, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The weight of leadership was a constant companion, but he bore it willingly. The open sea stretched before them, an endless expanse of possibilities. For now, the waters were calm, but he knew it was only a matter of time before the true challenges began. In his cabin that night, Aiden unfurled the map once more. Its lines seemed to shift in the flickering lantern light, as if mocking his efforts to decipher it. He traced a finger along its surface, his thoughts drifting to the cartographer's warning. Maps like this come with a price. What price was he willing to pay? The question lingered as he extinguished the lantern and lay down to rest. Outside, the Sea Serpent sailed steadily onward, its crew oblivious to the trials that awaited them. The second day dawned with a fresh breeze and a renewed sense of purpose. Aiden took his place at the helm, the morning sun warming his back. Clara approached, holding the map with a triumphant grin. "I think I've figured out the first leg of the journey," she announced. "Let's hear it," Aiden said, his interest piqued. Clara spread the map out on the deck, pointing to a series of swirling lines. "These symbols here correspond to constellations. If we follow the pattern, it should lead us to the first waypoint." Aiden studied the markings, nodding in approval. "Good work. Set the course." The crew sprang into action, adjusting the sails and preparing the ship for a change in direction. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. Every member of the crew could feel the significance of this moment. They were no longer aimlessly wandering the seas. They had a purpose, a destination. As the Sea Serpent veered onto its new course, the wind picked up, filling the sails and propelling the ship forward. Aiden felt a surge of exhilaration. The journey was just beginning, and the possibilities were endless. But as the sun climbed higher in the sky, dark clouds began to gather on the horizon. Fergus's voice broke through the hum of activity. "Storm's brewing, Captain." Aiden's jaw tightened. He'd faced storms before, but they were never to be taken lightly. "Secure the sails and prepare for rough waters," he ordered, his voice steady. The crew moved quickly, their earlier excitement replaced with grim determination. The first gusts of wind rattled the rigging, and the sea began to churn. Aiden gripped the wheel tightly, his eyes fixed on the approaching storm. As the storm descended, the Sea Serpent was tossed about like a toy. Waves crashed against the hull, and rain lashed the deck. Aiden's hands were steady on the wheel, his voice cutting through the chaos as he barked orders. "Hold steady. Secure the lines." Clara clung to the railing, her sharp eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. Fergus moved among the crew, his presence a steadying force amid the turmoil. Even young Elias, though drenched and shivering, worked tirelessly to keep the ship afloat. For hours, the Sea Serpent battled the storm. Aiden's muscles ached, and his clothes were soaked through, but he refused to yield. The ship was more than just a vessel. It was their lifeline, their home. Finally, as dawn broke, the storm began to abate. The winds calmed, and the sea's fury subsided. The crew, exhausted but alive, emerged from their positions to survey the damage. The Sea Serpent had weathered the storm, but not without cost. Aiden's gaze swept over his crew, pride swelling in his chest. "We've made it through," he said, his voice strong despite his fatigue, "and we'll make it through whatever comes next." The crew cheered, their spirits buoyed by his words. As the sun rose higher, its warmth banishing the lingering chill, the Sea Serpent sailed onward. The first leg of their journey was complete, but the true adventure had only just begun.